Action.
So yesterday, Johnny, that's all right. It's a plane. It's going to be plenty of them. That's how everyone gets here.
Maybe by foil now.
By foil, yeah.
Maybe by foil now.
So yesterday we completed 45-kilometre foil race from here in Maui to Molokai.
Danny,
out of it.
get out of it.
Pretty incredible day, really. Like, I guess the highlight for me at the start was the big circle, and the puau, which I believe is the shell horn.
Shell horn. I'm really sorry if offend anyone because we don't know the
shell
name
horn,
correctly, but
puau.
Puau.
We're all in a circle, or most of us are in a circle, in the orange rash guards, and they did the prayer and blessed the ocean and blessed the land and blessed everything that we're here and on and using and everything like that. And then the horn gave me the full body shiver, and it was kind of like, shit, this is real.
Signified a bit of a challenge ahead.
Yeah.
Felt like, all right.
I think just being here, two, entering and going there, doing it, being involved in it, completing it is pretty big.
Yeah.
You're gonna be famous, dog, aren't you? You go over there. Out of the amount of foilers there are in the world, people downwinding, attempting to downwind, to then for us to commit early, not knowing the conditions, or really, we didn't even know where to go.
Yeah, I that's what I was most nervous about, was where to actually go, where to finish. I hadn't even seen the finish line.
Yeah.
Which is pretty abnormal for
They say cross
racing.
the channel, stay outside the Kamalu.
The reef?
Yeah,
just stay wide of the reef.
Stay wide of the buoy, which I thought was going to be this gigantic red thing, but it's only about this big. Didn't even see it.
And look for the white roof.
Look for the
triangle roof.
Look for a white roof
building.
Hanging out.
It will stand out.
Yeah. But I saw that one on the inside, and I was like, surely that's not it. I'm waving my paddle in the air to the boat, and they didn't see me. They probably thought I was waving at them, and I'm thinking, if I've got to go there, I'm not going to make it because I was way too far out. But then when I looked down the line, probably about 12 kilometres down, I could see this big white thing, and I went, that has to be it, because I could see a couple of orange dots. Yeah. And a couple of wingers like further out.
That's really, I think, what I kind of worked out where the finish was, because the amount of wingers.
Yeah, zigzagging.
Yeah. Right there. Go, Danny, go away. Good dog.
She listens now. But the start line process for me was definitely different.
What did you use? What did you use? Well, like looking.
A foil.
When you're looking at the start, like I was sketching out, because I was looking at the start going, it's not really that windy.
Yeah.
Initially when we first rocked up,
the
wind started blowing in, but it still looked not like.
Yeah, well, as I said from the beginning, I was just going to commit to the same gear that when we were in Australia, what I said I was going to ride. So I just committed. I had the opportunity to ride different gear. Had the opportunity to ride prototype and new gear.
Yeah.
But I chose not to, because I wanted to stick to what I knew.
Yeah.
Because for me, as I said, I wasn't racing. I just wanted to finish it.
Yeah.
And if I was on something that I hadn't used before, or only used once, I think that it would have been more of a mind fuck.
Yeah, definitely.
So I used my 710, 19.5, 102 litre production Kalama Barracuda off the shelf.
Yeah.
With a 75 V2 mast, RS 1150 and 12.5 inch FTL tail. So safe play.
Always going to get you to finish the 1150.
Not the fastest compared to what guys are racing on.
Yeah.
But then again, when I look at my max speed, I know it's not about max speeds, but my max speed was 33.7.
Still a fast wing.
That's fast.
Yeah.
And then, when I needed the rest, I could stall it out and just sort of stand there.
Yeah.
So
1150 by far is probably the safest.
It's a safe wing.
Safest wing.
It has a really high, low stall speed, and the top ends, it's good.
Yeah.
I guess the only modification that we did to it was just the day before the race. Is Alex gave some sandpaper and did a wet and dry and covered in red paint.
When the person that designed the foil told you,
and he's raced his whole life.
You're racing. Here you go.
Yeah.
Sand your front wing.
Yeah, get all those marks off.
I wasn't really saying no to. I don't know. Like, it depends. Some people think it doesn't work. Some people think it does work. But I'm not gonna question the person that designed the gear that I'm riding.
Yeah, for racing, of course. I wouldn't recommend it if you're just going for a surf. But we were sitting on the ground, Johnny and I, I explained it like two guys in Indonesia,
just sanding
for an hour or something. And then you go and check with Uncle Alex, is it good enough yet? And he's like, see that bit there? Go do that again.
literally. That was good.
So what did you ride, Johnny?
Well, I had a bit of problems because 2 days before the race, my foil box broke on my deep ocean board, which I was devastated about because I actually really wanted to use that for the race. Like, I was kind of like,
it was made for the race, right?
Well, it was just made, like, I'd put a bit of effort into that design, or I looked at it in the computer, and then it was nice to see it made.
It was a bit of time, and then it was popped out, and then
I kind of really liked the shape of it, and so I was a bit devastated. But Dave was generous enough to lend me a 7/8 production Kalama, which I was just that's so nice of him. Someone that's who I don't ride for, different board brand, a competitive board brand, and he's here mate,
here's a new 7/8.
Here's a new 7/8, and I was just like the generosity is just insane. So I quickly had a run on that the day beforehand.
And how was it?
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, it's
out of the box, just
out of the box. It's the feel, the feel of that board. Oh, it's amazing. It really is a really good board.
And I think too,
I can't say too much more because
but I think too, Kalama dominates here in Maui.
A lot of barracudas.
There was so many barracudas, and I was pretty struck. There was a lot of production barracudas, and not just from here, but I have one from Australia, and then there was that guy from France. He had one, and there was other guys from other islands all had production barracudas. There was a couple of ones there which were
customs.
The customs before the production landed, and there's some prototypes that Dave's been working on, and Dave obviously used his latest, which is good luck for most people, anyone to stand on that thing, because it's a Dave Kalama special, made for Dave.
But then I used the 850. I'd been running that a fair bit. It's got really good lift to it, and got some good speed. Danny, go on, go. Sorry.
That dog loves us.
I've been running that 850. I know I can get it up in pretty light winds, plus on a 7/8 Barracuda as well. Makes it so much easier to get it up. So that 850 worked, and then
mast.
80 centimeter V2. I use it for everything. Proning, sup downwinding, winging a lot too. And then the day before I tried a prototype that Alex made, flat tail, which is really good for racing. That flat tail, you're just going straight and fast.
High aspect race tail, sort of.
Yeah.
And the feeling of that was
16 inch. Feeling, it goes fast. Definitely a lot looser than the normal production tails. But you're not turning
when you're racing.
You're going straight. You're not turning fast. A lot. You're going just straight downwind. So I was really especially getting a Molokai in on that gear the day before. I had a lot of confidence. Okay, I'll be comfy for the run, because that's another thing too. You want to be comfy. You want to be comfortable on your setup. You want to because a couple of hours out in the water, you start to, your legs start getting a bit tired, and if you're not comfortable on your gear, you're gonna run into a bit of trouble.
Well, that's why I didn't want to. one, because I wasn't being competitive as such in a race scene, but two, I just did it to see, one, if I could do it for like my own mental challenge and physical challenge for that. I just went, no, I'm not going to try any new gear because I don't want to throw any more things into the mix that, you know, I just went, all right, if I stick to the board I've used for the last 2 months, if I stick to the foil I know, which has the range I need, the mast height, well, I only brought one mast, and the tail, I know that tail is fast and loose enough if when I need it, stick to that. But now, you know, we might go Molokai today, I might ride the 850 with, I've got a 20-inch high aspect
tail,
tail that Alex has made as well. I might try that because if there's no, if I need to come in at Sugar Cove, I can come in at Sugar Cove. You know, something like that. Which I doubt. I'll obviously try and push to the end, but But the start line process,
it was tricky.
like it was light wind. But they made us paddle out, and I kind of regret it now. We could have used our boat to take us out, like Kyle Lenny and those guys, and drop us as Buffett, start us and drop us at the start line. But I decided to paddle with everyone else because I don't know. I just wanted.
Like everyone was paddling.
Everyone was paddling. So, but then I was about a kilometre in. Shoulders are killing me. My toes are cramping for some weird reason. I got my music pumping, so I was just, you know, bobbing away. And then when they said they're going to start the race on 10 a.m., they were serious about that. I wasn't even out there yet. And it just whoop whoop, and I was like, oh shit! Got to my feet and I'm wobbling around because my legs are sore. Then there's all that rush of holy shit, I'm about to do this. Or hang on, everyone's already gone. There's all these wingers. Like Alex was
hooking
downwind. He was hauling us on a 650 with an 8-metre wing.
8-metre wing in downwind, like good wind conditions.
And you right, mate?
Oh no.
And like my start process was, there were guys around me that I knew and they weren't getting up, and I was like, okay, so don't push it too hard. And I had probably 2 like half-assed attempts, and I went, fuck, like there's not much wind going on here. Then I got up and fell off, like sort of like poo-shooted the board and fell back, and then I was like, got up again, and I got up for about 500 metres, and I fell off, but I don't remember how. I think I was just so, like my heart rate would have been at like 190, I reckon. And then there was all like wash and boats, and then I could see everyone was gone in the distance, and I was like, and then that's when for me I was like, fuck, I can't do this. It's too far, it's too hard, my legs are fucked, I'm out of breath, and I was just in a world of a shit place. And then I just went, no, like what Mick said to me, he goes, do one thing that you got that a lot of people is, you can fucking paddle up. And I was like, all right, get my heart rate down a little bit, get my breath back, get composed, get up, stay up, I'm not racing. And I got up and I stayed up, and I had a sick time. I caught up, like Dylan Primrose, one of my other buddies from here, we shared some bumps together. We had a conversation when we were on the bumps. That was filmed by his dad or his father-in-law. And then I came down once, and I got back up pretty easy. And then I came down again at about this, I think it was about 27 kilometres to go, and then I got up and I went the whole way. But
nice.
How was your start process?
It wasn't too bad. I shouldn't say it wasn't too bad. It was pretty good. Like I was coming from a sup and racing a lot of stand-up paddleboarding. A lot of that dog nearly knocked the camera over.
Piss on it.
Racing and doing like sup downwinders. You want it, like you want to be as close to that wind line as you can. And I knew that when they were explaining these start instructions and a lot of people weren't clear on it, I just knew that I'm just going to paddle as far as I can out to sea and make sure that because everyone without timing chips or anything, when they say 10 o'clock,
it's 10 o'clock.
It's going to be 10 o'clock. So I knew I just had to be out as far as I could near the wind line for that 10 o'clock start. So I got out really far, and then I saw like James Casey came past me, and Kyle Lenny
Yep.
boat, and they kind of dropped probably just another 50 metres up from me in the water, and I knew it was getting close to 10 o'clock, so I paddled as hard as I could towards them, and then just before the 10 o'clock I pointed downwind to line up between the two boats. I kind of saw where the line was. So as soon as the gun went, I was on my feet. I waited for that first bump, because sometimes if I've noticed, like I've done it before, if someone says go and you get to your feet and you start paddling as hard as you can, you're gonna make it harder for yourself to get up. So I just got to my feet, waited for that first bump to roll through, and then straight up on that second bump.
When the nose goes up on the back of that one, you
started paddling, and I was straight up on foil. So was Kai and Jimmy, and like, because I didn't really know what line to take, like Alex had given me some good advice prior. They took off, like when they flew off the line quick. So I just pretty much locked in behind them and tried to follow their line downwind.
Were you outside of me or inside? Because when I was trying to get, I looked on the inside, and I'm pretty sure I saw Jimmy and Kai coming through on the inside of me.
Yeah, I was probably,
I just kept paddling.
I was probably inside, like, but further out.
Yeah.
Yeah, closer to that wind line.
Yeah.
Because the first 5 minutes, it was light, had to do a bit of work, but
hard.
I just knew, like, all right, although, like, yeah, okay, you're doing a lot of pumping and you start to get those thoughts of, like, gee, I'm only like 5 minutes into a 2 hour long race. Like, I just knew, okay, as soon as I get into bumps, then I can relax, but I just got to try and get through this first 5 to 10 minutes to kind of stay up the front as best I can, which ended up working. Like, I got away cleanly. And
how did you find the water out there? Because, like, when I look back at the videos of paddling up after my last touchdown that my boat took, it wasn't that windy, but because the winds have been blowing for so long, there was swell, but then I feel the water was coming back at you.
Yeah, it was really weird. There was certain areas too where I swear as I was cutting across, I was going into the wind, like hard into the wind. Because I was like, I swear this is blowing a lot into my face. It's not like I'm cutting across. Like, I was like, oh,
yeah. When I cut across the summit, it was like it was blowing back
into your chest.
at
Yeah.
me. Yeah. You want to come say hi? Next week you're on. Next week you're on.
I should have gone for a run. Yeah, so like, yeah, it was just
the wind coming back at you.
Yeah, and it was, so some areas that were a bit funky, and yeah, with the water, it's like sucking back. I'm not sure if it's just because you're up on foil and you're going quick, but I definitely felt like.
Yeah, I look at that video of me paddling up, and there's, I don't know if it's because the boat's going full, but when I came down, when I fell off those first two times, I'm going, the water's going that way.
Yeah.
Bump's going that way, water's going that way.
Yeah.
Like, weird, strange sensation. But where were you in the race compared to, say, like Kai, Dave, those guys? For the majority.
I was behind. Like, I wasn't. As soon as I got left by him off the line.
Front pack, were you sort of just behind the front pack or mid pack? Were there people around you?
Nah, not really. Slowly people passed me through the run. Like a couple of because I know a couple of guys perhaps maybe were on a bit too small a gear for the start.
Yeah.
And so they took them a lot to get going.
Yeah.
But then mid-channel, that's when they caught up.
Yeah, and then end channel, no good.
And end channel, then they came back down. So,
yeah.
But I thought I didn't fall that whole race. So I had a pretty clean run.
Consistent run.
And I knew that too, that if, like, you could go, you could push it and go maybe 5 seconds faster every kilometre or 10 seconds faster every mile. But if you fell then, that's 30 seconds that you just wiped out the last 3 miles. So if you're just so consistent then.
Yeah. Did you have any touchdowns, like where the board's like slapping the water?
There was once at the 30-minute mark where I turned onto like into a bump pretty much.
Yeah.
And then nose kind of dug, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, and I got back up.
And just come back up.
I literally just popped straight back up, and I just told myself like, right, just get it together.
Yeah.
So that was the only time really. But yeah, I definitely wasn't up near the front. I was a bit back, but just stayed consistently, like
Yeah.
probably 10 minutes behind at the end.
Yeah.
It was about 10 minutes behind that, 5 to 10 minutes behind that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That main group, which I was like for my first like good channel crossing, that area on that gear, or everything combined, I was pretty happy, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, when I look back, I'm kind of bummed that I fell twice at the start, because like I was in front of like a fair few of the people who were, I guess, would be a similar level to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I got going, like my buddy Dylan, he overtook me, but I came down twice from seeing him, and he beat me by 4 minutes in the grand scheme, which is probably, that's the time I might have been. I wasn't down for 4 minutes, but you lose that time trying to.
You lose
gain
time,
it.
energy, you know.
Yeah.
And then you maybe pushing a bit too hard to kind of catch again, and then other mistakes might happen, or you miss bumps. Like there's
We got to pause it again.
so many factors in it.
Here she is again.
Can you let me out? We're down.
Well, I think we were still mid-race.
Yeah, I'll go back to where I was mid-race. I'll go to my last touchdown, which was at about the 17k mark or something like that.
Yeah.
Might have been earlier or later. But was there anyone? Could we see anyone? I think that's where we're at. You said there was not really anyone around you.
Nah, people were just going past.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people were up the inside, which I was like, oh, am I too far out?
Yeah.
But then I could see a couple boats really far out from me.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of trying to manage. I knew to stay wide, but like not ever seeing. I didn't have any landmarks to know how wide I was. So
Yeah. Well, for me, like obviously, like I was I wasn't in the thick of it. But then, like as James said in one of the podcasts we listened to about like Josh was asking, can I follow someone? And it's like, no, not really, because you can start and then just not see anyone, right? And I could still see people in the distance, and there's still people behind me, which I was pretty stoked about.
Yeah.
But for the majority of it, like you're only looking.
I didn't even see Dave. He flew.
He did tell me that he got his boat. Chris P took him there, got off the boat.
Yeah.
And then basically finished him, had his crocs with him, and he went straight back.
Hooked. I've just been seeing the whole race.
Yeah, but when I was in that zone, and I could see orange dots here, there, and everywhere. I could see a winger was going the wrong way. He was probably having a shit of a time.
Yeah.
Then I looked behind me, which I hate doing when you're downwind foiling. Looked behind me, and I could see dots behind me too, and I was like, right, let's just keep them there.
Yeah.
But when I turned down the southern side of Molokai coastline, where it went more into like a bay run kind of conditions.
Yeah.
And the wingers were struggling. I didn't know they were struggling, but
Yeah.
now after speaking to Alex yesterday, they were struggling, right?
Yeah.
When I was going down there, then I started to see people who took a different line. Like they took an inside line. I saw a Casey who lives here beat me by 20 seconds of paddling on his belly. I wanted to get him. I just wanted to. He was like kind of like my goal. But anyway, coming down the coast, there was people around, and I overtook people. I got overtaken by people. But that last 12 kilometres was basically a bay run, and
there wasn't much wind on it.
There was glassy sections of swell.
And swell rolling through.
Glassy swell sections.
Yeah.
And I guess by that point I was like, okay, so the most I've done in a day is 34 kilometres, and that was actually when we were here.
Yeah.
It was 32 before that. And so I did that. So we'll come down those bumps there, and I started seeing more people, and I could see some outriggers, and I was like, far out, we've caught up, and I could see wingers and stuff like that. And I'll go back. When I was chasing the bumps and my boat drivers were hooting, they're going, you're killing it, man. Like I was like, that was pretty good, that felt pretty cool. and then, you know, like, don't go too much detail. We've got some stuff going on at home and stuff, and I'm just going like fuck yeah! And I was just like, I was just cheering and like, you know, just going, realizing why I was there in that moment and doing what I was doing to achieve a goal for myself, but also like for other people as well.
Yeah.
Because I kind of wish it was live streamed in some way, multiple way, like you could see it, or like we had live trackers or something, which we'll go into it soon. So the spectators who are all around the world can actually see where you are.
Yeah.
I think would have been pretty special. So I had tracking on myself. I had like you, because you were unassisted, which we'll go into in a second. You had Carla watching over you through GPS. I had Mick Branch, my partner Alicia, and my mum watching me.
Yeah, I had Tanita on my Garmin.
Yeah.
So tracking me as well, just as a backup for safety.
Yeah.
We'll get to safety shortly.
Yeah. But had all that, and then when I saw the finish line, I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna fucking make it. And then I made like a little mistake, like a little touchdown, like, oh, I'm still gonna get there. Stay in the moment, you know. And my music was starting to run out of battery. It was doing that doo-doo thing on me. I'm like, not far to go. It said it lasts for 8 hours, but I've been out here for 8 hours.
And the finish was tricky.
Oh, so hard.
The finish,
the bumps went from this gradually down to like, they said that don't cut the can.
Yeah.
And when I saw a winger paddling with his board upside down, I went, I'm not going in there. But you didn't want to stay out too far because... Morning. You didn't want to stay out too far because then you got to go upwind, crosswind, pumping.
Yeah, yep.
So your finish was a lot more... Well, everyone's finish was spectacular because it was... Some people say the downwind race should be finished at the wind line, like kind of thing. Now there's a new argument. Maybe it should be at the original finish line because it adds a new level of skill. You've just foiled for 45 kilometres. Now you've got to pump up wind. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
So like,
and it's not like I look at it both ways. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a downwind race. So if you finish at the wind line, then, you know, it was who was the best at downwind foiling. But then also I look at it the other way. Like, okay, it's not a massive pump up wind, but it's just enough that you might second guess what foil you're going to use, and that's going to add a bit of a, you could go on a really, really high aspect wing to get across the channel, but as soon as that wind dies, you might have 200 meters you need to go, and if you can't pump on that wing, then that's going to throw a spanner in the work. Nah, well, good, thanks. So I kind of like that finish line. I was quite lucky, to be honest. So coming into the finish, I started pumping. I saw people already dropping down and on paddling. I was able to get past a couple of people already paddling on their stomach. And as I turned to go into upwind and my legs started to die, some water safety jet ski came up my inside, and I was able just to get, that jet ski was probably only going 6 knots, not even. But it just gave me enough wash just to keep up.
When they're pushing water.
Yeah. And then the next person I saw was Marcus Tardrew on his stomach in front of me paddling, and I was like, trying to get Marcus. But the jet ski stopped and all the water just cavitated under me and I dropped out. And I didn't have to paddle too far. I only had to paddle 10 meters maybe at best.
So like the finish line, I guess, when you look at the which we'll get into in a second, the results, the online results, the people who placed in the online results may not have actually had that position in the downwind leg of the race. Right? So like, without going into too much detail, like, you know, certain people may have won the downwind component. But then, like your time versus Dave Kalama's time, like he was probably way ahead.
Way ahead of me.
But you got him where you had to paddle.
He had to paddle a long way out.
He's a big dude that's got to try and pump that thing up.
Yeah. And so, like, I was looking at the times at the end, and I was probably, no joke, like 5 minutes back from Dave, or probably longer. But I got that back to with like just over 30 seconds. because of that pump at the end.
So we did 45 kilometres on
Yeah.
foil. You didn't come down at all. You got the
No.
whole way on foil.
Yeah.
What was your time?
An hour 52
Over the finish line.
over the finish line. 1 hour 52. Yeah.
I was 2 hours 17
Yep.
over the finish line, but I come down at 2:15,
Yep.
2 hours 15, which is 30 minutes quicker than what I had anticipated I was
Yeah.
going to do it in.
Yeah.
Which for me, like,
That's good.
explain how you felt. It's getting windy. Explain how you felt once you crossed the line and you went round to the jetty and you got up on the jetty. What was that experience like for you?
It was pretty cool actually. Like it was a bit overwhelming too because like so many good foilers together.
Yeah.
You know, you've just finished like a massive race on foil.
Yeah. You're with the people that we only know who they are from their Instagram
Yeah,
name.
like, and there's people that you kind of watch and go, wow, like,
And then you've
they're
just
ripping.
competed against them,
just raced them.
been in the same water, the same event.
Yeah,
You know, Kai Lenny,
yeah.
there's, you name it, there's all these
Everyone's there.
fantastic watermen from all around the world.
You get your lay too
Yeah.
at the end, which I was
You get
like,
laid, yeah.
I was just like, oh, F it.
Yeah.
The
the watermelon.
The watermelon was tasty at the end. I was craving some food by then.
Yeah.
The road was hot, but no, it was.
Insert snippet of Alex talking about his feet here.
Yeah, yeah. We should. But no, it wasn't like it was a pretty surreal thing. Weird. It's a weird feeling. I think you leave one area and then you just foil for like 2 hours and you show up at another island.
different
I think
island.
That's a pretty surreal kind of feeling in a sense.
And all the islands here are unique.
Yeah.
Like Maui is windier than the other islands, and Alex explains that how the wind tracks around the valleys and through because they've got two mountains on this one.
Yep.
But then you get over there and the wind's tracking through the channel and around this way,
Down
and
the coast.
then it's just a different landscape again.
Yeah.
Like, what was the first thing you did when you got on land? Was it just handshakes all around and
Pretty much, yeah. Handshakes. I forgot to stop my Garmin, so
hello?
my last kilometre was like 8 minutes. Hey, what you doing?
Can you
Go on.
give
Go.
us a little bit more time?
Go.
The white ones are alright. Just sit there, bullfed. There you go.
And so yeah, that was
It's licking its fucking nose.
that was just I was a bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I'd probably looking back, I didn't take the moment in as much as I should have. I was kind of like, oh, I finished a race, like,
Okay.
you know, sat down and just chatted to a couple of people about how their runs were and things like that. But I was just glad I got over there safely,
Yeah.
like without any
Issues.
issues.
Yeah. Well, for me coming into the finish, because the bumps got significantly smaller, my back leg was on fire because you're
Yep.
moving further forward to, you know, keep pumping.
Keep
Well,
up.
that's what I do anyway. And I saw John Irons was on his belly, and I went, oh, just pump past him. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, John, pump past him, and then I could see Casey was less than 10 metres in front of me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, you know, when you're trying to pump and you just literally you're pushing shit uphill.
And you know you're
coming down.
Yeah.
I was going from 75 centimetres, 65 centimetres
Yeah,
down and down and down. Acrossed the line and paddled in, and I saw you and I saw a couple of other Aussies. Everyone's obviously, they've been there for 15 minutes or whatever. They've cooled down doing their thing.
Yeah.
For me, my first thing to do was get off the hot concrete because it was
Yeah.
brutal and my feet were already numb.
Yeah.
And I got my phone out and I rang Alicia straight away
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they were tracking me, and I didn't even know what I said, but I think I was talking 100 mile an hour, and it was just like she was, I'm so proud of you, like you made it, like it was. I was like, fuck, I did it, I fucking did it, like.
Yeah. It was good. It was
And then our boat driver was like, we need to go because it's 3 to 4 hours to get back.
Yeah.
But let's touch on safety.
Yeah.
Because so I had a boat, and
Yeah.
like M2O, you have to have a boat.
Yeah.
M2M, you
You
don't
have to have an escort boat.
You don't
yeah.
have to have an escort boat.
Yeah.
I chose to have an escort boat due to the fact that it was. I know I'm not an elite,
Yeah.
and to just have that backup. You know, I had a life jacket, I had a phone with me, I had, you know, that sort of stuff. If I didn't have it, and you'll go through that in a second. But for me to have a boat and being that far behind everyone else, to have some form of encouragement and someone who's just, they've got my back was pretty cool to have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it without it. I'll do it again next year with a boat again, because the boat, and I will use the boat to take me to the start line this time.
Yeah, yeah.
But to have the boat, it's your ride back, and you're with that captain for your whole experience from start to finish.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And if you have a good relationship with them, and that helps as well. Like, unfortunately for Gabby, her boat driver triple booked her, and then she was like, "No, you can't do that." And he's like, "Oh, I can escort 4 people, but you can't. Like, don't try and take too much money." And then the morning of, he texted her and said, "Oh, my boat broke down." So that hit Gabby pretty hard, because she had a new level of stress come on because she doesn't have her escort.
Yeah.
She's an incredible water woman, but I understand for your first crossing. Shep Nelson, he's done it plenty of times. He had a boat escort, you know. So for me, you can't put a price on safety. It's, fuck, a lot can go wrong out there.
Yeah.
Like,
Go it.
a lot can go wrong. You've featured in enough videos so far. And just to have that boat was a no-brainer. Like, in Australian dollars, it cost me roughly about $1,900 to have the boat.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's more than my flights here. For what? You know, we had him for 8 hours all up. But for me, it's worth it.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it?
Like, I was thinking about it too, because a lot. Because then you can put that question, like, what's the price of safety? You know, $1,900 for your life is, it's nothing really, isn't it?
Like,
because
think about what could have happened when we go back to the board thing. Like, if you're,
well, that's
or anyone's equipment breaks, your paddle breaks.
Yeah, so that's what I was probably a bit more like, I really should have had a boat, because I would probably went a bit gun ho. Like, oh yeah, I can foil. Like, I can, and I'm fit enough to go. But at the end of the day, like, I haven't done that course before. I haven't foiled that far before. My board broke a couple of days before, and if it broke out in that race too, and I came down, I would have been paddling for a long time.
Like, even Alex had a stack on his wing, and his tail wing came down and burst his leading edge. Yep. And he paddled for 45 minutes. Yep. And he was close to the end.
Yeah, he was close to the end.
He was close to the end for 45 minutes paddling.
So, you know, I carried a phone on me. I had all the safety requirements in my pack. I was wearing my orange high vis. But still, like, if you come off on foil and you get hit by the board, you get knocked out unconscious, you know, $1,900, it's not looking too bad for your safety, you know. So, and
I got some pretty good footage out of it too.
Yeah, like, so looking back, you know, it shouldn't matter if you're elite or if you're not. You know, you should really question, like, everyone's got their different opinions on it, but you should really question if you want an escort boat, and it just guarantees that extra level of safety. Because, like, as we know, when we were heading back,
so we were heading back into the wind for it was a good hour 20.
Oh yeah,
and it was just going boom, boom the whole way. And our captain went, "The fuck is that?" And just off the port side of the boat, I actually thought it was just like a bit of like a plastic tub in the water. There was another foiler, not even at the halfway point, at 4 hours 20.
And so they didn't have a boat, and the race organisation safety boat or marshal boat wasn't behind that person, and that's usually, like, they can guarantee everyone finishes. So that's and that person may have had all the safety gear on them, but still, like, there was not another set of eyes on him.
And the scary part was when we picked it, like we were like, you need to get on the boat, and he's like, I'm going to keep going. I was like, bro, it's been 4 hours and 20 minutes, and you're not even halfway yet.
Yeah.
They're not even going to be there if you get to the finish. They've probably already sent out a search because they can't get a hold of you. He did have his orange. The only reason we saw him was because he had his orange vest on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the minimum requirement for the race was you have to wear the orange jersey.
Yeah.
You have to wear it, and there were people that didn't wear it, and it doesn't matter how good a foiler you are, if you fall off or you hit a fish or a shark
Or a fish hits you.
or a fish hits
There was a
you,
lot of flying fish out there.
and they were massive. Dude, I didn't even know they were that big.
Yeah, they're
That
pretty
thing was
big.
huge.
Yeah.
And I know it didn't happen, but it could have happened.
Could happen.
And if you're laying face down in the water
Yeah.
and you're not visible,
And I know that from doing searches in a helicopter. It's hard. I've done a couple of searches, and you're trying to find a little speck in a massive ocean. It
full
is,
of white caps,
and that's from the air.
Yeah.
You have no luck from a boat unless you drive across from them.
because
And
we
it's-
were
it's
only 100
so-
metres from this bloke, and he was hard to see.
Yeah, and it's so hard to see from the air. So, yeah, whatever you can do to make yourself visible, I'd
Yeah.
be pretty adamant on
Like-
doing.
When we did the prone downwinders at home, you know, like I wear a fluorescent yellow Camelback.
Yeah,
It's got food in it, and we only go 4 or 5 k's, but the walk back takes an hour. So I'm sipping on water. But when we go past Surf House, people are, oh, that was you guys out there before. We saw the fluoro yellow go past, but we didn't see you, which is Liam. Liam just wears black, and I've been on to him, dude. You have to wear
you have
bright
to
colours.
wear high vis. I was really bad for it, and I'm trying to get a bit better on wearing high vis, just because it is a bit dangerous out there.
Like I've worn my orange Kalama or my red GoFoil or, and the life jacket thing. Like I've done all those Malikos for the last 10 months without a life jacket on. And when I was here in February, we had those big swells and big, it was fucking scary.
Yep.
I came down like a sack of shit, and I was seeing those little stars, and like Alicia said to me, like, is it worth getting a helmet? And I was like, no, because I'd probably push it too far and hurt myself even more.
Yep.
She said, well, you're not going downwind again until you get a high vis life jacket.
Which I probably am going to look at getting when I get home.
Yeah.
Because I've just got the inflatable one that I race stand up with.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that high vis life jacket, it just looks a bit more nicer, and it like if you hit the water,
It's
and you become unconscious, you'll float.
Yeah.
You can't pull an inflatable. So.
Yeah. Like I look at the guys that are doing downwinders and I go, like, yeah, it looks cool with no shirt on. It looks cool with a Hawaiian shirt on or something like that. But I don't think I want to look cool.
Nah, you want to make it.
I want to make it the other side.
You just want to be safe. Yep.
So, I always wear my pink life jacket now. I've got my speaker, I've got my phone, I've got my food, I've got my water.
Yeah.
Like.
So yeah, looking back, maybe next year I might hit up an escort boat, just for that pure reason, a bit more safe. It is. You pay for it, but how much is your life worth really at the end of the day? Like if something goes wrong,
and it's like,
at least you've got that backup.
Like for perspective, like if you do, Maliko's dangerous. Every ocean's dangerous. Full stop.
Yeah.
The ocean's a dangerous place.
Yeah.
You got to respect it, and if you don't respect it, it'll fuck you up. If you respect it, it's probably going to fuck you up anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I've always said. But to do a channel crossing, like that was some pretty gnarly water.
Yeah.
And then when we're driving back, after we dropped old mate at the shore and told him that, you need to get picked up, we're punching upwind, and it was
big.
It was big. Like it was
pretty big.
If you're stuck out there with no high vis and no life jacket, you're already completely fucked from whatever you did to get there in the first place.
Yeah.
There's not much chance of surviving.
Nah.
Unless you can tread water like that guy did for 2 days in the Mentawais. He fell off the boat.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's sharks and there's all sorts of crazy shit out there.
I don't want to know what was underneath us when we're going across that deep water, yeah.
Overall, the whole experience was, I don't want to go as far as saying it was easier than I thought it was going to be, but I worked myself up. Like I was so sick with anxiety that leading up to it. Like you said in the airport in Sydney, you went, fuck, are you alright, Dill? I'm just like, I'm shitting myself.
Yeah.
And then I said when we were driving, I was like, I can relax now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, it was a really unique experience. There's nothing been quite like that I've done. So
that's probably the most physically challenging, mentally challenging thing
mentally challenging
that I've done.
Yeah.
Like, let's touch on that for a second. So, when you're downwind foiling, it's probably more mentally draining because it's so technical.
Yeah, especially if you're racing, I think too. Like trying to find the
navigation,
find the good bumps. It is putting a puzzle together.
Yeah.
And putting the best puzzle together that you can.
And you look at that lump and you go, if I'm going to sit on top of this lump, it'll drop out. And then you see like the wedge, and you're like, I'm going to cut through that gap.
Yeah. And then what's coming behind you too, like what's about to roll through and putting yourself in a good position. Like I'm still trying to learn how to put that puzzle together better. It's always learnt. Like you're always learning how can I better navigate through this section, or how can I get the maximum energy out of this swell bump or this next couple bumps that I can to go faster, or to make my way through more cleanly without touching the nose down or things like that. So it's always, and that's the beauty I think of downwind foiling, is you're always learning. You always come in from a run and you're like, oh, next time I'll make sure I do this, or next time I'll definitely fly higher. Or
so after, are we going alright with time?
I think we got a couple more minutes before this one.
Do you want to check it?
No, it'd be good. I think we'll wrap it up now.
Right, I was going to say, after doing that amount of foiling, is there any runs at home that you got your radar on, like you got your eyes on?
Yeah, I'll probably try, if the wind gets really good, I'll do Hastings to the Seaway.
Okay, how far's that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, where's Hastings?
Hastings down northern New South Wales.
Okay.
And then try wrap it around Snapper.
Yeah.
And then try and finish at the Seaway.
Yeah.
That's like,
it's a good.
Don't quote me, but it's 50 something maybe.
Yeah. For me, it's
20k, another 20. Yeah, it'd be over 50.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Assisted or unassisted?
Maybe assisted. I got my jet ski.
Yeah.
Just get a jet ski driver out there and go for a cool run.
Yeah. For me in summer, it's Barooby at Port Stephens.
Yep.
Back to either Swansea, that's 50 k's.
Yeah.
Or back to Newcastle.
Good finish too in the Swansea Channel. Like,
yeah, but even into Newcastle Harbour as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That would only be 25 k's or something like that.
Yep.
I would always do them assisted because Stockton's great white shark breeding ground situation. Yeah. We'll wrap it up here. We are heading over to Hood River tomorrow. Forecast is looking light early on in the is that your caravan?
Cessna Caravan.
We're heading Hood River. The forecast for earlier in the week is looking light. Towards the race day, it's looking pretty strong, which is going to be pretty good. So we'll sit down with some crew, Dave, Alex, Tomo, Kalia, Carla, Eric Foyle from Texas, and we'll do a couple more. But for now, we're going to go do a double Maliko.
Get the legs going again.
Get the legs. Let us know what you thought of this one. Are we doing M2M next year?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll be 100% back.
Yeah, I'm in 100%. As well. I might race this time.
It was like, for anyone out there that is starting to do a good 20k run, round about that 20k mark of like, and staying up a lot of the run.
Yeah, if you're doing 20k beach runs or ocean runs,
yep.
Bay runs, I probably wouldn't recommend it unless you've done ocean yet.
Yeah, definitely. You have to be in the ocean.
Ocean for sure.
Because of swell.
The swell pushes through.
It's a different kind of bump.
Yeah.
And you can get up fairly quickly or just confidently. Like you've got good balance. Then this is a race you should
you should consider and start putting
Yeah.
your pennies aside. Like roughly, when you think about it, you only really need to be. You only need to be here for a week. Get a couple of Malikos in, and flights cost you about $1,500 Hawaiian. That's 2 board bags included. That's oversized. You fly Sydney or wherever. Yeah, Sydney, Honolulu, Honolulu to OGG, which is Maui. It'll cost you, about $1,500 of flights. Accommodation's where it's going to get you, so try and maybe leave the family at home.
Yeah.
Escort boat, $2,000, all your food and stuff. I would realistically allow $10,000 for the trip, but overall, epic experience. I'm in next year. Johnny's in next year.
I'll be back.
We're doing it again. So, yeah, guys, get training, get your buddies together, do some bay runs, get in the ocean, and it's something that's pretty special to be a part of. Considering last year there was 5 foilers. This year I think there was 85 foilers.
Wing and sup.
Wing and sup. So predicting next year there's probably going to be
More.
120, 150 maybe. So pretty big event. Get amongst it.
Yeah. Let us know what you think of this video.
Yeah. Comment below.
Comment
check it
below.
out. Like, subscribe, and
Follow
days.
along.
Where's this one little golf
All
ball in
right.
his mouth?
Danny, what you doing? What you doing? Oh shit. Yes, big cuddles. Yes, big cuddles for Danny.
And kisses.
Kisses. Oh shit. All right.